Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. Today's video, we are doing TSM versus CG Regional Qualifier final round thingy. This is game number 1. Okay, as I said, this is going to be part of my series that I'm doing VOD reviews for every single team that's going to Worlds. I'm doing their last best of 5, so it's going to be like 120 videos. It's going to be Anyways, super excited to get into this, so let's just get right into it. Alrighty, and now we're looking at the draft. So if you're unfamiliar with my VOD reviews, I talk about the draft for quite some time. Usually, this draft's kind of interesting, some weird stuff going on. And so let's just get right into it. So usually I start up the draft, we'll look at the bans, and then we'll actually just look at how the draft actually went. This is still in the current draft order, not the position that the champions are going to be in. This actual draft order, because I think it's worth talking about. And then we'll get into team compositions and what the teams do and how they're going to win, and then we'll get right into the VOD at a ×2 speed. Alrighty, cool deal. So let's just look over at TSM. They first picked Sejuani. So Sejuani is not the best blue side first pick. It telegraphs a lot what you want to do. But this is just comfort for Spica. So they're literally just picking this for Spica because he's a new jungler, and they're going to prioritize Sejuani over everything in this entire series, which kind of hampers them in the draft because usually you can get Sejuani at your second rotation, or sometimes it falls through all the way to after the second ban phase. But in this series, it's going to be they're going to ban it out or pick it early. At least TSM expects that because they've shown that their Sejuani priority is so high that Clutch would be most likely happy just taking it from them. So yeah, so the bans are pretty standard. They're very team specific bans. I say standard, but these are standard Clutch bans. Skarner is the one that maybe if you're looking at this, you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. They're banning Skarner, but it's kind of a weird special. He's so much more effective on this champion than any other champion he plays, at least this season. So that's why that ban is there. All right, we have the Sejuani picked at the 1, which I already said what that offers you, and then Rakan and Sylas was picked. So the reason why it's interesting is Sylas is a very popular first pick on blue side, so you would expect the Sylas to be picked on blue side first pick, but it's not. And so you get the Sylas on the red 1-2, and you pick Rakan. Usually you pick the Rakan side of the matchup. Sometimes you pick the Xayah. It really depends on the player, but we get the Rakan side of the matchup. We get Sylas. Sylas is actually a direct counter to Sejuani because you just make Sylas with a Sejuani ultimate. It's much, better kit than Sejuani in general, so it's just Sejuani, or just Sylas's kit with Sejuani ultimate. So it's a big counter, and as well as Queer's a jungler, jungle fast, has not a great healthy Queer on first life, but you just do Krug's Queer base, and you end up querying way faster than Sejuani right after that, and your query is is just as healthy. I don't know what's wrong with the way that I'm talking. Okay, all right. Over here we have the Sona and Tahm Kench is locked in. Over here, so they're obviously wanting to play this. Something they've been preparing in scrims. So Sona Tahm Kench, different than Sona Taric. So Sona Tahm Kench is a little bit safer than the Sona Taric. You can actually get to the mid game easier and get Sona on those items. That's why Tahm Kench is being picked more often. It's also easier for Tahm Kench to CS than it is for Taric because you can tongue lash. Your tongue lash does quite a bit of damage. You can tongue lash and actually consume the minion and spit it out. He has a lot more abilities to actually CS than Taric does. Taric, a lot of times you have to actually walk all the way up or channel your stun to do it. But it's a longer cooldown, it doesn't do as much damage, and you still have to get closer in order to be able to do it. And obviously, what Tahm Kench offers in lane safety, getting back to lane with his ultimate, and keeping the Sona from dying or getting in danger, Tahm just gets you to that mid game, and then allows you to be Tahm Kench in the late game. Your heroes aren't quite as spammy as it would be if you had the Taric, but the win rate for Sona Tahm is actually better than Sona Taric, so it's actually the better combo. And then Clutch predictably take Xayah, so they have the full Xayah Rakan, so they actually give over Xayah Rakan, which does feel kind of bad, but they're just looking to farm up anyways, so there we go. Okay, all right, then we move into the second ban phase. I thought the Aurelia ban was kind of interesting because the Renekton is still up, and if you're going to save your last pick for Bjergsen, it seems like you could just blind. Seems like you could just blind Renekton instead, and if they pick the Aurelia, then they can't pick the Aurelia if you blind the Renekton. But I can see the rationality is that they're picking the Jayce right here to help with their siege since they don't have an AD carry. So this Jayce right here isn't picked for lane dominance. This Jayce is mainly picked for sieging. So actually, you know, shooting those blasts, those Q blasts into the enemy team while you're sieging down because you don't have a traditional marksman on your team. So it makes sense. Whenever I was watching this live, I was like, why do they ban Aurelia when Renekton's up? You can just blind Renekton. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And if they pick Renekton, then you get the, you know, you can counter pick it if you want. Renekton's pretty hard to counter though. But if you're gonna blind, Renekton's the best blind pick in the game. Okay. The Aatrox is expected. Corki's expected. Okay, and then so second phase. Clutch locks in the Neeko, which is busting out the Neeko for a while. Neeko is super meta. Like, you can totally play Neeko. Faker plays it all the time. Faker's probably the best Neeko player in the world. And gets some cool interactions. So the Neeko's locked in, blind. Then we get the Jayce and the Azir. So get the Jayce and Azir, so that gives a lot of range in this comp that doesn't actually have a lot of range. So the Azir's pretty good here, based off of not having a marksman. Then now you have, you know, a marksman-like champion that you can buff up, go a lot of zone control with. So the Azir makes a lot of sense here. It's kind of a neutral matchup with the Neeko. You don't see that matchup too often, but you know, Azir can manage the wave a little bit better in the early game. But after Neeko gets her first back, she can usually, you know, control the wave just as well as the Azir does. Neeko's mid-game fighting is a little bit better. She's a little bit stronger in the mid-game, but Azir scaling is pretty insane. So. Cool. And then the Pantheon is the last pick, so that's the, you know, that was the shocking thing in the draft. And so the Pantheon is picked here, and this is old Pantheon. I think this is mainly picked for the team fights. I do barely remember this game, and I remember how it goes out. But when I saw this pick too, when I was watching it live, I was like, oh, okay, this is picked for the AOE team fight. You create like a lot of trapping scenarios where you ult behind the enemy team. And so you ult behind the enemy team at the same time the Neeko's going in. So either you get AoE'd by Pantheon, and you get AoE'd layered by Neeko. So there's huge AoE in this fight, and then Sylas steals the Sejuani ultimate. So you could drop the Pantheon ult, steal the Sejuani ultimate, throw the Sejuani ultimate in. The Neeko comes in, hits them while they're in that slow range of either the Pantheon or the Sylas ultimate. So there's a lot of like team fight setup you can do here. And then Xayah is just sitting back free hitting because you have all this area of control and you have the Rakan flying in. So you have so many forms of engage actually. So this comp has like, you know, honestly, you know, has guaranteed engage with the Rakan, has pretty guaranteed engage with the Sylas stealing the Sejuani ultimate, and you have and then you have pseudo engage with Pantheon and some actual engage with Neeko. So you have a lot of follow-up. So if somebody lands one part of the engage, you have so much follow-up and you have so much areas of control where you can trap your enemies. And if you get like chaotic fights and fights around neutrals, then this comp is really, really powerful. Okay, cool. So let's look at TSM's composition. So TSM's composition, you have the Sona Tahm, which is basically you want to death ball with Sona Tahm. And I'll talk about that in just a minute, the ways you beat Sona Tahm or Sonateric, because Clutch Gaming actually has an effective way of dealing with this. So they have the Sona Tahm, which is going to be a losing bottom lane, no matter how you cut it. It should be a losing bottom lane. You have the Sejuani, you know, probably most powerful jungler in the game. You have the Jayce, which has decent synergy with Sejuani. This Jayce isn't really picked for slamming in lane, and the Pantheon has a decent matchup. I mean, Pantheon can trade back a little bit. Pantheon, this should be a losing lane for Pantheon. And then you have the Azir, who pretty neutral lane state with the Neeko. So you have a winning top side for TSM, pretty much neutral lane state for mid lane, can get prio in the early game as the Azir if you like. And then you have a losing bottom side. But really what TSM wants to do is just get Sona onto her one item, onto her two item is when she's really big. And this comp can actually death ball around. Jayce can play the side lanes with if he wants, but I don't actually see this happening. This is like an ARAM comp. You death ball with this team composition, and you can siege down with the Jayce, put up your Azir turret, and you have a lot of disengage that way. So TSM has a very face roll composition. So if you can mitigate the early game, and mitigate the early game stuff, group up, group up, and this is really a death ball composition with the Sona. That's what you pick Sona for, is the death ball people. If you watch Overwatch, you know, people death ball in. So this is really like a death ball composition. Can do some sideline stuff with the Jayce, but really would mostly just see Jayce just looking to help Siege. If this comp gets ahead, then it's really easy to face roll into a win. But on the side of Clutch Gaming is the way you deal with a Sona is you have a lot of hard engage is the way you deal with Sona. If it was Sona and Taric, the way you deal with that is slamming it in lane or having disruption ultimates like a Gragas ultimate, something like that, is another way that you deal with that. But with the Sona, it's mainly just about the heals from the Sona. And so you want to have a lot of, you know, burst and guaranteed engage. So Clutch actually has a really decent comp into TSM. So if this is at an even game state, it really depends on execution. TSM needs to watch their flanks, watch, get pinks behind them whenever they're sieging. It's very important because if you get flanked by Neeko and a Pantheon ultimate comes down, then it's very hard to win the fight after that. If Azir and Sona get caught in that, it's very, very, very difficult to win the fight unless you just have somebody 1v9ing. So it's very important to watch TP flanks. And look out for those types of things. Have wards in your flanks all the time, so they'll have to play around that a little bit more. And for Clutch, it's really around execution if they're able to do it. I actually like Clutch's draft. TSM just has the classic face roll composition, so this comp is always fine to play. You do kind of give the onus over to Clutch. They have the much better early game, so you have the bottom lane that's supposed to win, the top lane that's supposed to lose. But then you have Lira, who should be winning hard in that matchup, also a much better player than Spica. And then Pantheon is mainly about the ults anyway, so you're going to be losing in lane, but you'll be able to make like cross-map plays with your semi-global, big AoE stuff. So look for some mid-game fights going a lot in Clutch's favor is what we should expect to see. Okay, cool. Let's get right into the game. That was a long explanation for a pretty simple draft. I don't know what was wrong with my words at the beginning. Okay. Let's get right into it. Okay, it's always interesting when the jungles are going to start. Looks like Clutch is looking for a late invade. Or no, not a late invade, just a normal invade. They are spotted out. Easy. They do have a bunch of vision around and the brushes. So when Peter Zhang goes in for his classic BM, and they'll have to start on the top side. So that invade right there is just forcing, obviously you're taking one of the buffs, but whenever you take this buff, then you can kind of know that they're not going to do Krug's Clear. So Sejuani's unable to do Krug's Clear, which is a very efficient clear to do, and Lira's actually going to take the Raptors out, which is one of the camps that Sejuani wants to do. Bjergsen actually comes in and makes it reset, so that's a pretty good play by Bjergsen. Just making Lira waste a little bit more time where he already has a superior clear. But Lira already got a really good leash on the red buff, so he can just do blue and one more camp and he'll get level 3 off that. At least he should. Okay, everything going pretty much as expected in the early game, except for that invades. But Sejuani does get down to actually do the Krug's Clear, so that's going to be big for the first recall. The only thing wrong with this is that since Lira's still on bottom side, he's on the side of the map where he doesn't have prio, so he's going to be unable to get the Scuttle Crab. All right, now we're looking for a roam on a back timing. It doesn't make any sense. Something that Damonte does in this game, because I actually remember watching this a little bit. Oh my god, I need to move my camera, bro. Oh my gosh, I forgot to move my camera. Wow, I'm an idiot. Anyways. Something that Damonte does in this game, he doesn't utilize the Neeko passive that well. For example, Faker is so good at Neeko because he utilizes the passive so well. And Damonte, whenever he's making a roam onto top lane, why does he use Pantheon as passive when he's ganking Pantheon? It's obviously Neeko. He should use Sylas whenever he's going up there. Like, that just makes the most sense. But like, I think in his mind, he's so stuck on being Pantheon because he's thinking it because they probably practice this in scrims, right? And so whenever you go to a team fight, if you look like Pantheon and you're walking towards them, Pantheon's moves are so telegraphed, so you know Pantheon just wants to walk at you, and his stun range is really short that he gets to jump onto you.
So if you're in Pantheon and you're channeling the Neeko stun, if you're channeling the Neeko ultimate, they can't actually see it when you're looking at. And even right outside of Pantheon's jump range, the Neeko ult will still hit. So that's why I think in this game he's constantly channeling as the Pantheon, is because he has like that stuck in his mind from scrims or something like that. But like for example, like walking up there as the Pantheon makes no sense. Like why doesn't he not look like Sylas? Because if he gets spotted on a ward, let's say there's a ward right there, then it's obviously Neeko. But Sylas isn't topside, so it'd benefit Clutch by pretending to be someone else, you know? I don't know. Like Sylas wasn't topside, he was bottom side, so it'd benefit Clutch, it would confuse TSM as to where Sylas actually is. Sejuani actually gets a top scuttle. He gets a top scuttle because Lira thought he would have already gotten it. Because he had no prior bottom, so it was the expectation. So it's actually ended up being, you know, playing some mind games, actually ended up being good pathing for Spica to actually go bottom side to grab the Krugs, rather than go top side. I criticized the pathing because I was like, oh, he can get punished really hard for this because he's going bottom side when he has no prio on this side. He has no prio on this side, so if Lira actually just scuttles and goes straight to the top scuttle, somehow he got vision of Spica on the bottom side, if he drops some wards down there, then Spica can get hard punished. But what it does do for him, at least if he wasn't going to get the scuttle Krugs, he does get second Krugs. I was looking for a gank topside. This is to be expected. The TP out from Damonte, which is, the Damonte special. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck about his waves, bro. He's about to lose a minion wave. He didn't give a fuck about his waves. He didn't need the TP there. But it's fine. Damonte is all about playing the sidelines. So they actually just walk their Pantheon down bottom side. So this is the power of Pantheon since he has a semi-global. They actually just walk him bottom side so they can get this Ocean Drake, and you're going to have priority the entire game on the Xayah Rakan. So there's no way TSM can actually contest because they have a Sona comp. So this is just easy. So Pantheon just walking down there just to make sure they can get the Ocean. Then he can base and then ult back to lane. Get that entire minion wave. I'm ulting. I have arrived, he says. Okay. Okay, Tahm Kench TP's back to lane. He has Summoner Spellbook, so that's how we do that. I get a nice invade on top side. Man. That's an easy play, dude. This early game is going actually, like, as expected. Wait, are they going to get a kill? They got... They traded heal for flash. That's pretty good for TSM. This early game's going pretty as expected. Sylas is just slamming in the early game. Huni is exerting so much pressure on the map right now. This is actually going really well. He started the Tiamat so he can roam around, come back to lane, insta-clear the wave, and just run around. So even though he has, a negative matchup in terms of, ability to fight the other top laner, he doesn't have her app to fight him if he just is never in lane. So he's just playing the roaming style. It's a great style for your CG to play. It's a very CG thing to do. This early game's going pretty as expected. I mean, you should expect for TSM to lose the early game. Tahm Kench ults top. That was fine, ults mid. That was fine to do because he had nothing to do in lane anyways. So they lost a turret plate, but Sona was already back in lane anyways. So they're just stopping backs there. It's a good tempo play for TSM. And Sona actually has her support item now, so now she can start the CS. All right, now the Sona is slightly activated. Key thing is when she gets her Archangel staff and then her Lich, which makes it to where, she can spam shields. But then when she gets her Lich Bane is when she can actually deal damage. All right, this is the clutch special. This is the clutch special. As soon as the minions spawn, as soon as this as Rift Herald spawn, they go top every single time. So TSM is already reacting to this. The
the way they're able to make this happen is essentially what's happening right now is they TP'd topside. Dragon is down. When does Dragon spawn? Oh, it doesn't show the timer right now. Dragon's going to spawn in about a minute, it looks like. They can TP up topside, actually do a lane swap for just a minute. Pantheon is backing away from the wave. He may be looking for an ult target. He's either looking for an ult target, or if TSM actually doesn't react to this, then he can actually just ult bottom. And just catch the wave bottom if they go bottom rather than reacting. So that's why he's waiting right now. Okay, Huni actually ults in. Zven gets a good ult. I remember this fight. This fight goes pretty weird. It goes in Clutch's favor, and then they just get chunked out by Broken Blade. And then they keep looking at this bush that they know a pink is in, and they just stand next to this bush that they know they can't get vision of. So look, all right, they know it. I remember watching this live. So normally when I watch games live, I'm not really paying attention that much. I'm just kind of casually watching. I remember watching this, I was like, wait, what? They know that this is pinked. They just walked into the bush. So why don't they drag the Rift Herald this way, where they know they have vision control? Look, what is happening? They see Spica. They see him. Just take the Rift Herald there. Then Broken Blade kills Lira. You don't have a smite. Spica has flash. Broken Blade actually secures it. Tahm Kench is ulting in from his death because this fight took a million years to do. NAXD. Yeah, just terrible objective control. Like objective setup and all that good stuff. And tragedy strikes on the Rift because a team that has no business getting dragons is getting a dragon and leveling the Ocean Drake with you. Tragedy strikes on the Rift. Okay. Lane assignments are pretty weird for Sonateric. Or Sona Tahm Kench. Post laning phase. Obviously, when you have a Tahm Kench, you just put it's mostly weird for Sonateric. But obviously, after you get to when you want to be in the mid game and when you want to be out of side lanes, you just stick the Sona mid with the Tahm Kench, and you can rotate over to side lanes if you want to with Tahm Kench. Actually, get full turret plates bottom side with their Rift Herald that was gifted over to them. Bjergsen is top side. He has no TP, so they do not want to look for a fight. TSM does not want to look for a fight, but they're just going to rotate their Sona mid and then have their solo laners play the side lanes right now. Might look for some ARAMs, but probably just going to put Bjergsen back up top to catch that minion wave. And then you want Jayce in the lane that doesn't have the tower because you can feel a little bit more safe letting him push forward because he has a Ghost Blade. He has a lot of survivability in his kit, and he has it's very big. You don't want to give that shutdown over though. Okay, now we're just kind of in a lull state a little bit. There's no objective on the map, and it's at this point in the game it's difficult to siege down with the Sona comp. They really want to have top tower. So they really want to have top tower. TSM really, they want to break these outer towers right now, right? So they can start gaining better setup around objectives. And Clutch is looking for the same thing. So Clutch is looking for these chaotic fights. Spica actually gets a catch out on Vulcan, so that's pretty huge. Damonte gets a big ulti. These areas should be better. Should be better for Clutch, right? These smaller corridors where they have the big AoE ultimates are going to be able to escape. But they just kind of push a little bit too far forward without the appropriate setup. When they're looking for vision, they get caught by Spica. So the Rakan getting instantly burst there really hurt that. So TSM really wants to get these outer towers so that they can get better setup around these objectives, because if they don't have good setup around these objectives, then they can get dropped on like this around objectives if they don't have the appropriate ward setup. So this is the power of this comp. They have a lot of catch out, right? So TSM pushes a little bit too far forward. Pantheon ults down and all that good stuff. And now they do not have priority on the objective because of the Pantheon ult. But this is actually this is mostly a net positive play for TSM because they really, really, really want this outer tower so that stuff like this can't happen to them again. So they can get appropriate setup so they're not in a vulnerable position for the Pantheon around objectives, around neutrals. And now they just really want to get this top tower so they can have full control. Lane assignments are also still weird. Yes, they're putting the Sona top just to catch this minion wave. It's not, she shouldn't really be top as our lane assignment. Most likely should just be mid with Tahm Kench. But it's just up top side just to catch the wave. Because she has no ability to actually take that tower. I don't know what TSM is doing right now. They're losing a lot of tempo by... They're losing a lot of tempo by bringing the Sona mid with Azir. Just kind of A-ramming right now. Pantheon shouldn't have been able to get that tower. They should have probably lane swapped with Azir and Sona at that time. I don't know how Pantheon was able to get that tower for free. They weren't under threat of fighting, right? They weren't under threat of fighting right here when they're positioning right here in the lane and just the minion wave came to them, right? They weren't in position to fight. Broken Blade wasn't under threat, and Broken Blade wasn't with them. They can't fight without Broken Blade at this stage in the game. So you find yourself asking, why did 4 people just go mid on TSM? With nobody rotating top to catch the wave. And they actually lose a tower, where CG didn't have any tower gold yet. So a little bit questionable. So they're sticking to Jayce topside, which is fine. That is fine. Jayce is who you want in a side lane. Okay, they're all forcing top so they can get the tower. This is good. This is what you want. TSM is definitely in the driver's seat right now. Clutch is just looking for some pickouts. They don't have the ability to actually siege on the TSM at the moment. They do get a bottom tower, which is great for CG. But it's a worth trade for TSM at the moment because the Baron is spawning. It is difficult for either team to do Baron at this point in the game, obviously. But getting this tower just allows much more breathing room for TSM. Like, this is way more worth than this bottom tower is worth for CG. So they'll take that trade any day of the week. So they can actually start getting vision. So with this team composition, unless TSM plans on pushing forward into the enemy, they should get river control, like river wards like they have right here, rather than controlling this top quadrant. They should get river control, and they should be able to, since the tower is gone right here. CG also have taken the tower. If you push this wave, and they have mid tower broken, you want to get river control right here, and then you want to make sure you're not getting ward flanks on you. But it is very difficult for ward flanks to come in because they have top river control. So keep top river control is a very big priority for them because they do not want Damonte TPing behind them and like in a Pantheon ult channel in. They really want Neeko to be walking straight into them. So TSM right now, they're fine with just scaling up. They have Azir and Sona. Sona's on her second item. Sona, I don't think actually goes Ardent this game, and I think Ardent would be really good with Jayce and Azir, but she doesn't end up doing it. Okay. Pantheon's looking for a flank. So these wards that TSM is dropping back here are very good. These wards are very good to spot CG's flank, because CG has a really hard, like, so much ability to actually flank and have follow-up engage. So that's what I'm saying. These wards behind you on the sides of the map that you don't have river control on is very good. You should really only try to maintain river control one side. Okay, so they transitioned their vision bottom side, so they're giving up river control on top side, which is fine because the dragon is about to spawn. This mountain dragon is super valuable to TSM right now because CG already has one and their Baron damage is pretty low. So this mountain drake is pretty valuable. CG have no Baron threat, so rotating their vision to this bot river side is fine. But notice all these deep wards are here. So this ward right here is unlikely to ever be spotted out unless Smoothie just walks in and sweeps it, which he may do because they should be very worried about the flanks, about the TP flanks. But this ward is very sneaky. This ward is very, very sneaky. Okay, so TSM just wants to do the same thing. Put their strong member in the side lane top side.
group up mid, push through mid, and get river control again. And eventually, they'll be strong enough to where they can threaten a Baron. Drink, I'm drinking. Okay, they're actually going to push through and try to break through top. So kind of out-rotated clutch here. So they actually do get the break top inner. Really great play. TP flanks coming in. So they're pushed a little bit too far forward positioning-wise for the enemy team. So they can actually see them coming in right here. Or they're going to be able to see them once they get to here. And they actually ping out this TP. Nice. So they actually see it. And now they know this is Neeko because they see the Pantheon ult. Alright, and so what this is doing is corralling TSM into the spot. And look, Damonte has flash. So this should be a team fight win. Like, this is what you want. Like, you're corralling them into a small corridor with Huni's ultimate. And then now you have Rakan with flash and Neeko with flash. So you would imagine if Xayah can just get to this position right here, that this should be a winning fight for clutch, right? Let's see. This is what this comp can do. If you push a little bit too far forward, they can TP behind you. So this push was great to break the structure, but it puts you in a very vulnerable position when your comp actually just outscales. So this is a very tricky thing for TSM to do right now. Okay? This is the only way to break through. So this is smart right here. So you break through because you're getting corralled. Cody Sun gets close enough to the fight. Rakan goes in. And you get the huge AoB wombo combo. Their only way out of this was to break forward. That's why Bjergsen pushed forward. That was the only way to break out of this. But Broken Blade gets a 1v1 on the side. And this fight is only made okay because Broken Blade solos him out. So watch this again. So they get corralled into this small spot. And they try to push forward, which is the only way out of the fight. I think walking back right there was kind of bad. I think maybe they could have just kept going forward. They probably would have been collapsed right here, but maybe it would have been a little bit more spread out. Okay. So overall, that's probably an overall win for TSM. Honestly, I mean, it kind of looks bad because a lot of you die and all that good stuff happens. But if you think about it, you get structure gold, you get Damonte's TP and flash, you get Rakan's flash. So their ability to flank you and engage is taken down significantly. And the map state hasn't changed at all. You can just go right back, put your Jayce in the top lane, push the wave up, and then get back river control, scale up a little bit more. Once we get, 6 more minutes into the game, you have serious Baron threat on TSM's comp. Right now you have Baron threat if you wipe or just sneak it, but you have serious Baron threat once Azir gets on his next item. So TSM's fine with this game dragging out. They don't need to look for plays like that, but that play actually worked out fine. The map state didn't change. They can push back in and get river control. Nothing's changed at all, really, in terms of the game. But honestly, they don't need to get forward vision. Like, this ward is good, but they don't actually have to get wards up here. They really just have to worry about chaotic fights like this, right? At least this fight, they're kind of face rolling into them, so it's pretty easy to disengage from it. They really just need to worry about flanks, honestly. So having control of this river and not letting your mid structure break gives TSM so much ability to just actually scale up. Actually just scale up a little bit more and have so much threat on neutrals. The Azir is perfect with this comp. And they put up the sand turret, so now they move over, and they actually are threatening Baron. They force out a TP. Huni's TP. You'd imagine they'd peel off. One of the things with the power of Sona is that you can just threaten Baron and not lose any HP. I mean, look at Spica. He's been tanking Baron at 26 minutes, and he's still close to full health. Let's go back a little bit.
There's the aftershock. They peeled off at 5k, actually. Yeah, this is the correct move. Broken Blade's positioning is really good on this fight, actually. Spica is so low. They should need to hold back and get Spica some more health right now. One thing that's really bad about this, and Clutch did a very good job. So Clutch actually peels over, since I know they have, there's no way for TSM to actually rotate into here, because how low Spica is. So they actually push over and hit the tower. Would be interesting to see if TSM actually engages on this, because now they're behind them. But Spica is so low, it's so difficult to. Oh wow, there's a big stun. Oh wow. That was really good by Damonte. Let's see how he got there. How did he get there? Alright, so he doesn't have ultimate. Okay, yeah, so they don't see him moving there. They just saw him walk this way. So they have no idea he's right there. Wow, this is really good positioning. Wow, this is really good. 4-man root. And that's the real Damonte. Wow, that's insane. Bjergsen kind of blew his ultimate there because what's Damonte going to do? He can't run into you. He just ulted. You need to save your ult for them. You need to save your ult for Rakan. Kind of trigger happy on the ultimate there. She's probably surprised. Wow, that was a great setup. That was a Bobby big play. Broken Blade carrying these fights a little bit. No, overall, Broken Blade didn't look very good in this series, from my memory, but this game actually he looks pretty good. He's gonna get his shutdown taken now. Nope. Wow, nice. Very chaotic fight. It's very interesting who gets prio on the mountain. Whoever gets this, if TSM gets this next mountain, it is worth so much because they still have a lot of map control. Bjergsen still doesn't have his next item. This mountain is very important right now. You need to make sure you get the mountain without losing Baron. Both teams have a mountain. So it's really hard to commit. Unless you can like sneak solo it. TSM has a ward on it. So Clutch has priority on the mountain, but they have a ward on it. Broken Blade gets picked out. Oh no. And who's down? So Bjergsen's still up, so it feels kind of dangerous to do Baron. Because you have so much zone control and the jungler's up. Oh, they're actually going to... Zven has TP. That's why they were thinking about it. Yeah, Mountain Drake's pretty much all CG can get there. Broken Blade getting picked off was really bad. The Sun turret kept them alive a little bit there. Okay, now CG has Mountain. So if they can actually get the push, they have a whole lot of Baron threat now. Pantheon is deceptively tanky versus Baron because he can just proc his shields. So you can't actually tank the Baron. So now both teams have a significant amount of Baron threat. CG has the double mountain, and they have the Sona comp on 3 items, and Azir on 3 items. I know TSM goes bottom at some point, and I don't know why. We're going to be ramming for a while. We're essentially both just trying to fight over vision around Baron. Is essentially what's happening right now. Oh my god. I can't believe I had that shit on the screen the whole time. Alrighty. Okay. You get to pick up on Huni. That's great. They got his GA as well. And this is free Baron. Once you get a pick off, it's free Baron. Let's actually see how that was set up. Let's see how that was set up, because I wasn't...
Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, how did they know Pantheon is there? Oh, they see him walk over the pink. They just saw him walk over the pink. Nice. Power of Tahm Kench. Actually using Tahm Kench aggressively. Nice. Okay, that's how they found him. Once you get that pick off, you take this. Damonte is actually playing a side lane. He gets bot inhibitor tower. Nice. Okay, nice. So TSM has Baron, and now the siege will begin. Oh, is this when they lose their inhibitor tower for no reason? Or they use their inhibitor for no reason? Oh, yeah, this is when... Oh, yeah, this made no sense. Because why doesn't he just... You're getting this for free. You know you're getting this for free, and all Broken Blade has to do is shoot one shock blast at the inhibitor and just walk up to it for a second and do your... Like, you just had to walk up and do your combo one time and then TP in. And so they lose their bottom inhibitor, which is the most important inhibitor to not lose at this stage in the game. And you're like, if you actually want to look for an end, your TP is so much more valuable right now. And so you would know whether or not you can end once you get to this point, right? Once you get this wave right here, you would know how many members they have and know whether or not you need to commit or not right now. And that would be after he cleared the minion wave. So you would know right now whether you can go for an end or not, and they can't. So that would be the point in time you would TP in. And they lose their bot inhibitor, which is the worst one to lose. Man, I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties with putting my camera in the wrong spot. Damn it. Oh yeah, this is why they end up bottom side. So they go bottom side because that's, you know, the lane that they just lost. They just got supered in. As well as when you have, the reason why you want to siege bottom side, if you just don't know, is so that you can get next Baron, right? So you have supers priority. And they just gave over supers to the enemy team when they had Baron buff, when you could have stopped it from happening. That's why that was so bad, is because the power of getting first Baron is that you're able to get bottom inhibitor. It's supposed to be like the game plan. Mid inhibitor is great. Mid inhibitor is very good. But bottom inhibitor is the superior one because you have supers on the weak side of the map. So everybody's going to be playing around Baron. And they give over supers while they have Baron buff. It is so bad, dude. That is so bad. Oh my god, I just realized how bad that is. Oh yeah, this was nice. Damonte funneled him into, or they funneled him into Damonte on the flank. CG's really good at like running these types of compositions. And they wanted to siege it down slowly because the super's coming in, and that was just really well played by CG. CG knew they had to make a play as well because supers were coming into their nexus. Now they get Cloud. Nobody really cares about Cloud, but look at that, bro. They have supers in the bot lane. Funnel them into that. Really well played. They did get Damonte's flash. I mean, also got Sona's flash. So it's going to be really hard for Damonte to make another play like that for quite some time. We'll have that up in time for the Elder, but not in time for the Inferno, or not in time for the Baron. And look, now they're having to answer a bottom lane. When this should be CG having to do this, right? This should be CG having to answer super waves. And TSM should be able to death ball and play slow, right? So bad, dude. Okay. A little bit ambitious on that one. You're not in position to actually make this happen. Neeko doesn't have flash. So at this point, it is actually very difficult to make this work. Neeko and Rakan don't have flash. Bjergsen has flash. So Bjergsen's in a really safe position sitting right here. As long as he dodges out in the Sejuani ultimate. If the Sejuani ultimate hits a good target, you continue and going right here. But if it doesn't, you just peel with the Sejuani ultimate and leave. Because if you lose this fight right now, the game is actually over, right? So Bjergsen actually sidesteps. Puts his soldiers up just for zoning. So this is the fight where Bjergsen actually gets to play the game. And the game might be over. Is the game over? Wow. If that Sejuani ultimate doesn't hit, you just have to leave. You have to see if that Sejuani ult hits and don't commit with the Neeko. Is that really the end of the game? Wow. Such a low quality game, actually. Oh, wow. Okay, hey, sorry for being kind of aggressive. Man, I'm so sad. I had so many technical difficulties while I was recording this. I left so much stuff up for my stream up. This is the first time I've filmed at the same time as streaming. So, fuck, whatever. Okay, hey, sorry. I'm being so negative. I'll have the next video. We'll be filming the next VOD review right after this. So we'll be doing the entire series. So stick around for that. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.